chance of redemption for it. What do you think?
I'll tell you what I think. You may have noticed that I'm not in my usual space. There are no DVDs behind me, but that's because I'm not in my apartment. So this is what you have to deal with in the meantime. Hello everybody and welcome to today's review of Notes from Melanie. It is the new short film directed by Chris Stuckmann. You might know Chris Stuckmann as the world famous movie critic on YouTube. So he did a short film recently and he's been circulating it around film festivals over the last year or so. And finally he has decided to upload it to YouTube so that all of us can watch it for free. So thanks for that, Chris. Now I'm going to talk about it. So Notes from Melanie is about a screenwriter who's had a lot of success writing a bunch of rip-off movies in the past. And now he wants to be taken more seriously now. So now he's upping his game and writing his first serious script. And he invites his friend Melanie, who's also a scriptwriter, over to his office so that they could just talk about it, share some thoughts and ideas, and things start to escalate, you know? Emotions run high, and it becomes like a self-reflective movie about these two characters examining where they are in life, the decisions that they've made, and where they want to go. So I like the whole concept of this movie about these two people in a room behind closed doors talking about a script, and I especially liked the dynamic between these two characters. Both are screenwriters and both are successful in their own careers in one way or the other. But Melanie is the one who is the prestigious writer, and that's where Joe wants to be at. So there's a little bit of envy and jealousy on his side. Stuckmann, who wrote the film, was able to find a nice contrast between these two characters, and yet he was able to complement them as well. Because later on in the movie, it is revealed that these two characters were actually dating at one point, but because Melanie has a completely different mindset of how movies should be written, so much so that she even dissed his writing abilities in the past, that the two eventually broke up, and they've been on a completely different spectrum ever since. And yet, despite how different they are and whatever friction they had in the past, we find that Joe really needs Melanie, and in turn, Melanie needs Joe. It's a basic formula for any kind of romance, you know? Two people who are different from one another, and yet each of them has something like that missing component that makes the other one function. It kind of gave me that Birdman feeling too. Another similar story about how these working professionals are not artistically satisfied and now they want to try something a little bit more challenging, more, Oscar-worthy, I should say. They just want to feel a little bit more important to the highbrow society of their own film community. It's also shot in a similar way, although it's not like a one-take kind of deal. And this film was obviously written by somebody who loves film. There are references made to Taxi Driver, Drive, Inception, Jurassic Park, Alien, just like a lot of, culturally relevant films that almost everybody has heard of. However, that felt like a weakness to me. Brace yourself, here comes a negative. The passion behind this project can almost be too obvious. A lot of trivia is spewed out as a way to help Joe win his argument against Melanie as to why his ideas work. Like, it just feels like he was given these lines to say, and then the director said, okay, now say it very fast without a breath and amp up the excitement. And that's clearly how it turned out to be. That's how a lot of the acting in this movie felt like. It felt like they were brushing through this whole script, with a lot of energy and enthusiasm, but it feels like they didn't really connect to what the words meant or what the whole moment was all about. And because they play it faster, it feels like we're not feeling what this moment was intended for us to feel. At least that's just what I think. A lot of people may have different opinions about that, but with this, I feel like it should have been a feature film or a stage play of some kind. Something to give us more about what these characters are going through. A lot of this seemed to be right on the nose, and everything just felt handed to us. We went from A to B much too quickly, but I think also it's because the filmmaker was constrained to one room and he had to do it within a certain time limit. Like when you're making a short film, obviously if you're planning to submit it to short film festivals, you have to keep the runtime as low as possible, because obviously those who are part of the selection committee, their attention span is about the size of a split pea, maybe even smaller. So you gotta hold their attention, and sometimes you gotta speed it up. There were a few other tiny problems I had with the film, like the set. This is supposed to take place in a writer's office, right? But this didn't feel like it. It felt like it was a schoolboy's bedroom. Then again, maybe it was a deliberate direction, just to show how Joe is immature as he is trying to reinvent himself as a serious artist. Also, I don't really know that many screenwriters who put screenwriter on the front of their door. But then again, maybe that also showed the pretentiousness of his character. This is a comedy, not everything has to make sense. The flashback scenes were very funny. I really appreciated those. And Melanie's reaction after those flashbacks were pretty good. They felt genuine to me. But I will say that the greatest thing that this film had to offer was the middle part, where Joe has this monologue in the middle where he starts explaining to Melanie why he has made this decision. He is getting a lot of money, but he's not getting that artistic fulfillment. He wants to do a lot more. He feels like he can do a lot more. And he feels that Melanie is only putting him down. And the acting just changed from something comedic and over the top to something very subdued. They slowed down and they took their time with it. Melanie's assistance in the end was totally earned. It's like, yeah, I would totally help this guy out because now I understand his frustration. I think that moment is when Chris Stuckmann's voice truly came out. The moment felt so genuine, so real. It's because Chris, as the director, understood those feelings very well. I also watched the audio commentary of this film, and Chris Stuckmann goes on to say that whereas he enjoys movie reviews, but it's not what he wants to do for the rest of his life. He wants to be a filmmaker. That is what he dreams about, that's what makes him happy, and that's all he ever wanted to do. It feels like Chris Stuckmann knows how to play drama more than comedy. I wish they had taken that kind of direction for the entire movie, not just for the middle part. Had they done that and made the film a little bit longer, this film would have been perfect. Seriously, that part was the strongest point in the whole film. And I would rewatch that moment again and again because that was brilliant filmmaking. So overall, it was not a bad start. I felt it was a little bit inconsistent when it comes to tone, the comedy, the acting, and the dialogue, but I appreciated what this film was trying to do, and so I'm going to give it a B-. To be honest, it was almost a C+ had it not been for that one monologue by Joe. That part really hit me hard. I'm very proud that Chris Stuckmann was able to make this film. As a filmmaker myself, I know how difficult that can be. The hard part for me is to get people to come on board and to stay on board. I have no doubt that Chris Stuckmann will succeed in his future because, look at the overwhelming amount of support he has on YouTube. I'm not the only one doing a review on his short film. But like I said, making a film is very hard. But the hardest thing to do is to get off your ass and to quit talking about it and just do it. So I appreciate that Chris is one of those people who not only talks about movies, he goes out and he makes them. So good for you, Chris. Keep going. And thank you to anybody who decided to watch this, and I hope to see you again next time. Peace.